All right, well, it is crunch time. So, LS Miata, 3-day drift event tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So we got to do normal prep work, go through nut and bolt the car, make sure everything's good, check it over, yada yada. We need to mount tires, we need to get ready, we need to load up. But on top of all of those things, we are going to convert to electric power steering. So, I was gonna pop the hood. This thing's got freaking these things. Too many cars, switching between them, you forget how everything works. Okay, so if you followed along with this build at all and using it in drift events and things like that, the Achilles heel of this car, we've worked out, we had other little bugs here and there, but we got them all worked out. The last thing is power steering. So this is a Remand F-body pump. I've gone through 4 or 5 of these. I just keep burning them up, and it's happened middle of Pro-Am competition, and I had to compete with my steering wheel like binding up, and it's been a mess. It's been something I really wanted to take care of, but I've been conflicted on the options because you can get basically there's companies that take like this pump, a pump just like this, and like redo it to make it work better, and then there's upgraded versions of these pumps, like aftermarket pumps that still mount the same way, and then there's the electric power steering. So what keeps happening, the problem is the bearings can't handle the RPM. These pumps are meant for you to drive around and occasionally go to high RPM. They're not meant to sit at rev limiter the entire time they're being driven, which is what happens with drifting. So it kills the bearings, the shaft gets play, and then basically the pump section wears out, and then you lose pressure and yada yada. So, yeah, they're just not meant to handle it. So my thoughts were 2 benefits and reasons why I want to go to the electric power steering. 1, you can have it on with the car off. So if you're pushing the car around the pits, you can turn it much more easily. So that'll be a nice little feature. 2, there's a few reasons. 2, get rid of this. We'll lose all of this. We'll lose, this pump, this pulley, this idler pulley, and we'll have a much smaller, much simpler serpentine belt system. It'll make working on this way easier. It'll give us a lot more room in the bay. The reason number 3 is the pump operates completely independent of engine RPM. So the pump's going to be the same kind of pressure and everything, no matter if you're at idle or if you're at 7,000 RPM. And I think that'll be nice to have that kind of consistent feel. And we can put it in the back and add even more weight to the rear, which we already have a lot of weight back here because we've got our battery dry sump set up, full of oil. We've got a 4-8 diff. So we're going to have all the weight in the rear. And the weight in the rear helps transfer weight to the rear and have weight on the rear, which makes more rear grip, which makes the car faster in drift. Also a benefit. So anyway, lots of benefits to the electric setup in my opinion. It is arriving today. So while we're waiting on it to get here, we need to start mounting tires. We need to just do stuff all day. We have very limited time. We cannot slack off. So let's start mounting some tires. This is gonna take some time. So we'll just go ahead and just mount all these up. Let's just get it done real quick. Can't snap with gloves. All right, so I got almost all the tires mounted. I'm still waiting on 2 pairs of 16s to come in. They're supposed to be here today to mount on these, and then we will have a lot. I think 14 normal tires and then 6 sticky tires. So that should be good. So now we can move on to the project at hand that I'm hoping we can actually get done today. Electric power steering kit showed up. So we need to do the switcherooski car-wise. We need to get Subaru out of here, out of the way, get the Miata on the lift, because not only do we need to do the power steering, but we have some, other stuff to check over on the car. So let's do that. So I think us pulling this thing around the yard with no front axles in it toasted this wheel bearing, so we had to put the dolly under it. It's bad. It can move up and down like 6 inches. I've never seen one that bad. Okay, we gotta get the Miata back in and get to work. All right, let's see what we got in the box. Oh wow, the line already comes with fittings on it. That's dope. MDA Car Show fundraiser. Okay, I was originally going to piece together an electric power steering setup, but there's a local company in BFab, and they make kits. You tell them what vehicle you have, and you get pump, lines, fittings, everything you need to install it in the car, wiring, like everything. Like they've got it all set up. So to me, by far the way to go, especially in the time crunch I was in, and it's like $300, which like a used MR2 pump is that much. So, you know, I couldn't really find a better option than this. So this is the way I went. It's already wired up. We've got one fitting on this line. So what we need to do first and foremost is I want to get this line in and ran and make sure, you know, I can mount this where I want to mount it. And if not, if there's somewhere else I can mount it, if the line's not long enough, I basically want to make sure the line is long enough to mount the pump. And what we're going to try to do is basically install this whole setup without taking the normal power steering setup I have on off until the last minute. Like the last thing we need to do is connect the two lines once everything's in. And then, you know, once we do that, like we're done, and then we can take that system off. But just that way, if something doesn't work out, since it is crunch time, it is the day before the event, we can just leave the other system on and have this one in there and finish it up later. So yeah, pretty much that's the plan. So let's get this line routed and see if it is going to be long enough for us or not.
Like a rapper, so I could give him those lyrics.
We got plenty of length left over. So we will also have to run a rubber return hose back. So I got to figure out the best routing and securement method, but at least the line's long enough so we can move to mounting the pump. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just cut all this off, and there's like a frame around the bottom, and just weld legs with flat parts and then rib nut it. So we'll pull that out and work on that. I do also need to figure out, so I've got a hole big enough for this line and my e-brake line. They're both going through the same hole. There's a hole that's already there. However, the return rubber hose I don't have a hole for, and I can't really get a drill in there without taking all this area apart. So we'll look at that in a minute. First, let's get the pump mounted. Let's worry about that. All right, we got it all tacked up, so we're gonna go test fit it, make sure we don't have any interference issues, and then weld her out, and then worry about drilling a mountain. Man, that's pretty much perfect. Oh, looks like it's gonna work. Yeah, let that cool down, throw some black paint on it, start drilling the mountain holes. All right, well, while I was waiting for the paint to dry on this, which it's dry, so now we gotta drill our holes, put our rib nuts, etc. But anyway, while I was waiting on that, I wanted to keep making some progress. So I went ahead and got loaded up before it got dark here tonight, so I don't have to do as much in the morning. But man, I'm bringing a lot of tires. But anyway, back to the matter at hand, electric power steering. There's really not that much to do. I just, you know, it's getting late and I'm worried I'm not gonna get it done, but I know I can. So next step, drilling holes, riv nuts, getting the pump mounted firmly, and then we can start plumbing it. Let's do it. Got the pump all mounted up. It is nice and solid. It moves, but that's because it has rubber isolators, so it's not solidly, hardly mounted. I gave it about a 1/4 inch off the floor there, just so it can kind of move around and do its thing. So good there. Got this line hooked up, tightened down. I got my return hose, just ran down there. I was able to get to that area up there where you can kind of see where it's going. See it? Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Anyway, I got to that area and drilled from the bottom. Got it. So, moving on. The line's roughly routed. Still need to P-clamp them. I'll need to go get some more P-clamps and add some more to this later, but I should be able to do enough between P-clamps and zip ties to keep these solid and out of the way for the event. So the next order of business is the non-fun part of unhooking this line and fluid going everywhere. Not looking forward to that. We're just gonna have to suck it up and do it. All right, we got it with minimal mess. I didn't get covered. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the other fitting on, test fit it, make sure it's gonna fit good, and then we can come in this way from the line and then start making the line. And look who came to the shop for the first time in a while. No, don't leave. Sandy, you just got here. Where are you going? Sandy. Okay, have fun. All right, so we did have to go around. This fitting won't fit between my steering rack and the subframe here. It only fits pointing the other way. So basically we gotta shoot this up through and loop her back. Not the most elegant solution, but it'll work. There's not really any other way to do it too, because like I said, the fitting just doesn't fit by, like, even by itself going the other way. The rack's too close to the subframe for that. It's not too bad though. So I'll get that tightened up, get it secured, and then we'll do this return hose, get it up and secured, and then try it out. So we've got everything crudely zip tied up and out of the way. I know the skid plates hit the ground before, so I really don't want this hitting the ground. But yeah, I also don't want it near the exhaust, so it's one of those. But yeah, so it goes up, and then they both loop. The return hose loops through the engine mount here, which is how I have my other one. And then obviously the feed loops right here. It's kind of confusing because I've got my old line. Like I said, I'm not taking off my old system until this for sure works. Like I do not, you know, because if I take it off, then I gotta put it back on. So I'm gonna try to make this work, make sure it works, and then we'll take the old power steering pump off, switch the belt, etc. So yeah, anyway, basically it's plumbed. So now I just need to go up in there and put fluid in it and try to turn it on. So for those of you who don't know how my wiring setup is, so that black box up there is an ECU Masters PMU. So instead of having fuses and relays, I just have this box that's like an ECU. It's all solid state, it's all computer controlled for all my wiring. So no fuses, no relays. So anyway, moral of the story is when I need to add something, I have to pin it into this connector, and then I've got to hook my laptop up and go set my parameters for it in there. So I'm going to set this one up to come on with key on, because this is for the power steering pump. So come on with key on, and then I'll be able to press a button to turn it off if I want to. I do that so that I like to have most everything just come on when it needs to. If I can program that or wire in a sensor to turn on and tell it the engine's on or whatever, like I'll do that, because I don't like having to press a bunch of buttons. I'd rather, like right now it's set up where I turn the key on, I press the starter button, and that's it. Unless I'm turning my headlights on or my wipers or something, I don't have to press any other buttons. So anyway, that's what I want to do for this, but I have it set up to where I can turn it off if I want. So if I'm going to be sitting here messing with the ECU for long periods of time or something, or doing something like that where I need the key on, but I'm not driving it, I can just override it and turn it off, so I don't have to worry about it sitting there running for no reason. So anyway, yeah, I got the pin in, I got my wire there. I need to route it and button this back up. So this setup's kind of cool and I really enjoy tinkering with it. So I'll kind of walk you guys through it real quick just for fun. So output 04 is what I pinned it to. That is pin number 13. So I know that it is output 04. So I went in here and I made a power output off of pin 04, and I have all this stuff that doesn't really matter. So the tricky part is, like I said, I want it to come on and just be on automatically. So when I'm getting in and out of the car at events, I start it up and I go drive, I don't want to have to turn it on. So I want it to come on automatically, but I want to be able to turn it off. So basically, instead of selecting a button or an input or whatever, I have a formula. So it's set if the ECU ignition. So basically, if the ECU ignition trigger happens, which it happens when the key is turned on, then it'll turn it on, but it'll reset if I press the power steering pump switch button, which I made in here. So this is my switch panel. I can configure this any way I want. I could move these around right now and my switches would be in completely different spots if I wanted to. Really, really cool. But anyway, basically I just made the switch there. I also had it set up to where these are all red because they're off, and they change to either orange or green when I turn them on. These are all green because they are on right now and we are turning them off. So that is the power steering pump. You can see output 04 running. There you go in here, click the button, and then you can see when it stopped, power off. So I don't know, I think it's super cool. I really like this setup. It's definitely pricey, but it's so fun to be able to set that up just like that. I just ran one power wire. That's all I needed, and then I was able to do everything else just in the software. Like, it's so fun. Okay, anyway, at least we got that wrapped up. I do need to loom this wire. I realized that as I was routing it. I just ran it for now, but I'll loom it later. That's not a big deal. It was easy enough. So I'm gonna button this back up and see if there's anything else we need to do before tomorrow, because we unfortunately were unlucky and got a dead power steering pump. So this pump is not working. I don't know, maybe I messed it up or something, but there's a pump at a local yard. So basically the plan is, in the morning, go get the pump, swap it in, hope that it works. If it works, we're good. And we'll just need to pull our power steering pump here off and the cooler and stuff, which will probably take half an hour. If it doesn't work, I have the lines and the whole system there. All I gotta do is switch the lines over to this power steering system, fill it back up with fluid, and we're good to go. So, just in case this pump that I'm going to get tomorrow doesn't work out for whatever reason, like not the right pump or it just doesn't work, we're good and we can have power steering for the event. So wish me luck. See you guys in the morning. All right, good morning, everyone. So I'm one of those people, I choose to believe, keyword there, that everything happens for a reason. I don't know, just makes life easier, right? You think that the bad things are gonna lead to good things, makes them more tolerable. So I choose to believe that, and it kind of works out sometimes. So it is honestly a good thing that this power steering pump that we got with the kit did not work, because when I was looking online, I did find this one at LKQ, I was gonna go get that, and then it dawned on me this morning, I have an F-body alternator, and they are like the weakest ones. The truck ones are much stronger, but it only puts out 100 amps. I think that pump's gonna draw as much as 80 amps, at full lock. And then we've got all the other systems that need to run too. So this alternator definitely would not have cut it. So that dawned on me this morning. Escalade alternator, supposed to bolt on, 160 amps instead of 100 amps. They had one there too. So we picked that up. So, maybe, who knows what would have happened, but maybe we would have gone to the event, this pump, and not had enough power in our alternator and been trying to track down an alternator at the track or whatever. So, at the end of the day, it kind of worked out. So anyway, assuming this pump works. So we did find the right pump. We did find the right electric pump. We're good there. We're going to put it in, and fingers crossed it works. Wish me luck, guys. We're running out of time. We need to get on the road. There she is, made in Germany. Ooh, fancy. All right, let's get this thrown in and cross our fingers. Old pump out, new pump in, ready to go. I checked it worked, or at least it turned on, which the other one didn't do. So I think we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it with fluid, and then turn it on, and then see what happens, more or less. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, got the pump turning on. Seems to be full of fluid. I filled the reservoir up, turned it on, it sucked it dry. I filled it up again, turned it on, and it kind of seemed like that was the level. Like I let it run for 20 seconds and it wasn't sucking any more in. And then I just tried it. It definitely seems to be working. So before I go crazy and start pulling my old system off, I'm gonna go ahead and just drive it around real quick, turn the pump on and off, make sure that it's working, you know, make sure we're good there. And then we'll dive into pulling this power steering stuff off, changing the alternator, putting a shorter belt on it. So we still got work to do, but we're getting there. So let's try it out, So just sitting still, we've got the pump off. That's full force. Okay, turn it on, it takes about 3 seconds, but I'm pulling, there it goes. So let's drive it around. One-handed. I mean, it's a little heavier than the normal steering, but I think it's totally fine. Because the normal power steering was so light in this car because of how light the car is. But I mean, I can one-handed turn the wheel. That's honestly plenty for me. Because watch, if we go to no power steering, it's a lot harder to turn the wheel. Definitely not quite as like it feels like a little underpowered, but that could be from the alternator. Definitely seems like it works and seems like it should be fine. You know, so it's worth trying. I'll bring this system with me, and just in case, you know, it's not right and it's not working, then I can just switch back to my normal power steering stuff. But for now, we're gonna take it off, get it out of the way, get this alternator on, go get a belt, throw a shorter belt on. That'll be my favorite part because we're gonna, you know, have just a much nicer belt routing situation. Yeah, let's get to it. So I have done this a number of times, changing broken power steering pumps. So should be able to knock this out quick. I got the Escalade alternator in there. It is much larger than the F-body one that I had in here. I meant to show you guys the differences, but I was too eager to get it in and make sure it was going to fit, but it does fit, so we're good there. The only thing that I have to deal with is this has a 2-pin connector. My setup is for a 4-pin connector like the F-body, so what I have to do now is basically take that one pin. We're only using 1 pin anyway, so all this does is tell the alternator to turn on. It's got a resistor built in so that the alternator, you know, isn't on anytime the key's on. It's only on when the engine is running. So basically, I just need to figure out which of the 2 pins that pin needs to go on, and just run the bare pin for now, and then get a connector later. But at least hopefully get it to where it turns the alternator on. That's the only thing we got to do with that wire. This is how you know that I'm rushing and don't care. I just want to get it done. My area is a mess. Normally, I put my tools up as I'm going, keep things organized. Right now, explosion. I hate it, but I don't even care because I'm so focused on getting this done. I am in the zone. So I went ahead and added this big connector. This is actually for my ECU Masters PMU, but it fits on the pins here because we only need 1 wire, 1 pin. I'm assuming if it's like every other GM alternator. So yeah, I got that heat shrunk so it can't, you know, touch anything else. And I'm gonna hook that up, and then basically I just need to, and we're gonna have to take that bolt out. I got a belt that fits, but obviously this upper bolt is in the way, which is okay because this bolt is not normally there. For right now, I'm just gonna take this bolt out. I'm gonna undo the belt, take this bolt out, whatever, and then we're gonna start it up and yeah, see if it's charging with the pin where I think it needs to be. If not, we'll switch it. Hopefully that fixes it. Wish me luck. I'm having trouble finding any info on this 2-pin here. I can see, you know, one is supposed to be battery positive and one is supposed to be charge control. I don't know if this needs, like, from what I was quickly reading, it might need external signal from like an ECU to tell it different stuff, like, hey, more or less voltage. Like, it's a variable thing, I think. But I don't know. I don't know if this one's old enough or not. But I mean, it is charging, but in my other alternator was charging at 14.1 volts, which is around ideal. And this one is only charging at 13.5, 13.6. That's with the power steering pump on though. So I'm a little concerned, but I guess I'm gonna leave it, try it, see what happens, and I'll bring this alternator with me and we'll be alternator swapping if we have to. I mean, at least it's easy enough. It's not very hard. It's all the work we need to do. I'm gonna go ahead and button this up and get my skid plate back on and start getting this thing on the trailer and loading everything else up, and we'll go try it out. All right, well, after much deliberation, I came to the conclusion that I potentially got an alternator that's not gonna work without using the factory ECU. Oh no, we got a freaking, the thing's touching. Oh, we got to address that, boys. Jeez Louise. Okay. Well, I think if we take this off, we can get the bolt closer. Okay, so I'll do that. Anyway, long story short, stock alternator's back on, and it seems to be working okay. So we're just going to let it ride. We'll bring this one with us instead. It's not very hard to swap out if we need to swap it out. And yeah, so let's button this up and actually get on the road. Maybe we'll make it for a session or two tonight. Who knows? We are running late. All right, well, after some trials and tribulations, I got everything sorted out, and yeah, we're ready to go. Just look at, there's so much stuff to bring to an event with a small truck and an open trailer. We are jam-packed. We made it out to the track. There was a lot of traffic. It was literally 2 hours of traffic. Hour and a half drive turned into a 3.5 hour drive. It was wild. I pulled off at one point into the emergency lane to check the straps on my tires because they're pretty sketchy. And people were passing me in between me and the actual lane. I went to open my door and this dude almost took my door off. It was crazy. But anyway, we're here. Ben got here early, got set up with the RV. So we're gonna be sleeping here tonight. It's gonna be so nice to like sleep here, hopefully get an actual good night's sleep and like wake up here, because I've camped in tents and everyone's partying, you can't get any sleep, and then, you know, I've gone home and whatever. But us driving home, it's an hour and a half each way, so it's 3 hours of driving. So being able to just sleep here, wake up in the morning ready to go, will be so nice. I'm so stoked to get this thing to use. So I'm gonna go drive around the pits and see how my power steering is, and then the session should be starting soon. Get some clips to show you guys what it's like. All right, we are getting ready to go out. I'm a little nervous just because, so we've got electric power steering for the first time. We've got night event, completely different layout than we've ever ran here at the night event. My glasses are already fogging up. I haven't even backed out of my pit spot. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting. You know, I never normally get nervous these days before events, but just like a lot of things. Luckily, the guy in the pit spot next to me had some cleaning stuff, and he let me use it to clean my windshield and like coat it, and it seems like it's holding up pretty good. There's obviously a big spot that I missed, but other than that. I didn't either. I don't know, man. It seemed like it wasn't working right then, but then like it kind of worked. I couldn't tell. It seemed like on initiation it was like super stiff, and then I feel like it got stiff midway through the turn. I don't know. It was just a mess. I was trying to follow Ben, but it's like they're sending the cars next to each other, and we just tried to line up next to each other, and he ended up way ahead of me. So, you know, I don't really know what's going on. Oh, at least we get the tandem with Kevin. The power steering seemed to work then. It seemed to be working. It's hard to tell because I was focused on driving, but I just wish they, like, I don't know, this whole tandem thing's kind of confusing. Oh man, the one time I followed Ben, I didn't turn my camera on. Power steering, definitely something's wrong. I'm gonna go on the oval. My car is like running funny. I don't know if maybe it's just like the E85 I have is bad. Hey, towards the end of the lap. Yeah.
Like cutting out?
Yeah, it's weird. So I'm gonna do like on the oval and see if I can figure.
It sounded like you were on like rev limiter at like 4,000 RPM basically.
Yeah, it was like rev limiter and then it was like cut out. It was weird. Yeah, I just want to figure this out. It keeps doing it. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know, it seems like it cleared up towards the end there. Maybe it was just like some water in the tank that got sucked up or something. It's really hard to tell. Well, we made it back from the event. I did not end up figuring out the steering issue. I kind of went through it a little bit, and I talked to the guys at MB5, and they said it most likely is just a weak pump, which makes sense because driving around through the lot and stuff and turning in a straight line and things, it's fine. It just seems to not have enough assist when the steering's at big angle. Like when you're at angle and loaded up, it just doesn't seem to have the power to pull out of that. So it definitely feels like a weak pump, and it was kind of honestly fine to drive around because it felt exactly like it does when my normal power steering pumps go out. And I've had them go out like at the beginning of competitions and I had to drive through it. So I'm honestly pretty used to it. So, you know, it could have been more of a hindrance, but it really wasn't that bad at all. So my plan is to get from them, they have other pumps there, obviously, have them put it on one of their vehicles, test it, make sure that it works, send it to me, you know, make sure that it works in every way, send it to me, and then that way if we're still having an issue, we know it's something with our car, we know it's something with the plumbing, something with the power, something with something like that. So that way we isolate, you know, the pump, or maybe it fixes it, we don't know, but that way we're not chasing our tail just swapping pump after pump and there's some other issue. But anyway, otherwise the car did great. It was a lot of fun. I'm gonna have another video on the actual event itself, you know, the King of OSW comp, which was rowdy, and figuring out the breaking up issue and all that stuff, so stay tuned for that. But for now, that is gonna be it for this video. I'll update you guys if we get this fixed and whatnot whenever that happens. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, goodbye.